Hey, Facebook Live, it's Elisa Kreisinger here at Refinery29, and I am here with Fifth Harmony.
Hello, everybody.
And we are so excited today. First of all, let's congratulate you guys on your huge win for Down. You guys had your highest iTunes debut on release day in your career.
Thank you.
Which is huge.
That's literally huge. Thank you so much.
Of course, let's start with Down. So what were you guys thinking in the studio? Did you guys know it was going to be this big?
We did not. And it's really, it's funny. Literally, we literally never know because nothing's guaranteed. But all you can do is hope and wish for the best. But I think that the cool thing is the moment that we all heard this record, we were super excited, which rarely happens because we love different genres of music. But I think that our A&R, Chris Anakute, he really honed in on our sound and gave us the creative opportunity to also do that. So we knew that this record should definitely, you know, be the first introduction for the album. So
that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
So speaking of which, you guys have all publicly shared your opinions about pop culture and politics. So I wanted to get your opinion on just how you negotiate your politics with your pop culture. And Lauren, we can start with you if you want. We'll go down the line.
How we negotiate it?
Yeah, like so you guys were in the studio, you're singing your songs, like you're in popular culture, you're making popular culture, but you guys also have opinions about politics. Like, how do you sometimes negotiate those two things?
I guess you mean like be able to, like in terms of being multifaceted?
Yeah.
Oh,
or just having opinions and being in the popular culture.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like, again, I think is what I just said. I feel like, you know, human beings in general, especially, you know, us women, I feel like, you know, we're definitely multifaceted. There's multiple layers to what makes up who we are and what we think and what we like and our interests and our values and all that sort of stuff. So we obviously are really incorporated with pop culture, like you just said. So we kind of feel a little bit like responsible even for our fans and what they how they present themselves in the world, and you know, like they look up to us in a certain type of way, you know what I mean? And so we like to inspire them, like through our music, but mostly through things like moments like this, interviews where we can really connect and talk to them about, you know, loving themselves and accepting themselves and being that way towards others. Like that's something that's really important to us. So I feel like politically that's really what the general message is right now, of just like we need more love in the world, and we really need to like take a step back and like learn to love each other. And we feel like through our music, even like this time around on the album, we have this one song in particular that we're super excited about because we're kind of using, like you said, the pop culture vehicle to be able to sort of like make our message of love known, you know, which is really cool for us, and we're really excited about it.
I think that's the record I'm really excited about.
Yeah,
too.
me too.
It's the one that will change people's hearts, and
hopefully,
yeah,
hopefully. That's what the intention was.
That was the intention.
Is it personal too?
I would say, in a way, but it's just a song that we felt we needed to have on this record. That does, without saying too much, does talk about love and talk about unity. That's so important because that's a message that we spread. We want to spread to others.
How you guys have grown up in the spotlight for a lot of your youth and in your careers. How has growing up in the spotlight helped or hurt your own individual voices? How has it helped you find your voice, or maybe at times been a little bit of a struggle?
I honestly think it's a little bit of both.
Both, yeah.
Just what you said. I think that it has kind of forced us and give us it's given us the opportunity to, you know, allow our voices to be heard and share our light and to help other people, because, you know, we do have fans that come up to us in meet and greets and that do wait all night out for us. They literally like camp out just to watch us perform, and like we've heard so many stories, and they say that we encourage them and that we're their light in their life, or like, oh my God, I'm here because of you, or you saved my life and I stopped self-harming. So it's a beautiful thing, but it also does affect us, I think, in personal ways too, because in a way, like you said, we've been in this industry since we were super young, 15 years old, and that's kind of the time, well, for me, I was 15, and that's the time where I was really trying to find myself.
Yeah.
And to have to do that
where everyone's
in front of the rest of the world, like any little mistake that you make, it's magnified on a whole nother level because of who you are. You know, so it's kind of like you have to tippy toe a little bit. So it's kind of finding the balance between staying true to who you are, but also protecting yourself in a way.
And it's also about like being present and allowing yourself to grow, because we're like, none of us are the same person we were when we were 15, and that's never going to happen. It's kind of like there's sort of this expectancy with, I feel like, teenagers or teen stars or kid stars that, you know, they're supposed to stay who they were. And that's not the case for any sort of human, because we're ever evolving and ever changing. And we, like, from one day to the next, I could change my mind about what I think about something. And that's something that's beautiful about life and something that we've all learned to embrace. But it's kind of hard when the whole public is kind of puts you in a box that makes you who they think you are or who you're supposed to be. And it restricts your growth sometimes, because you're looking at it and you're like, oh my God, I must be that box because everyone's putting me in it. But then, and that's something I struggled with a lot, was like, everyone's saying I'm this, so that must be what I'm projecting. And that really messed me up for a while, because I was not that person and I was never going to be that person. I knew who I was and I knew my values and I knew, like, I know who I am. And so I had to really, like, it brought out a strength in me and all of us girls, because we all went through the same thing in our own ways. Just a resilience to kind of just like love who you are and quiet all the noise and just be like, who are you though? Like, work on it, grow. Don't be afraid to grow. Like, learn more and keep doing it. Like, fuck what anybody else says.
It forces you to connect with yourself in a whole different way.
Yeah,
it does.
It really did.
I think it also has to do a lot with social media, just because I think starting off on X Factor, that was like the scariest part. Everything else was just so beautiful until people had an opinion about you. And I was like, oh shoot, it's getting real. Because not only people in your circle would talk to you and tell you straight up, like, Diana, you have to do this, Diana, be this. But then for everybody to come into your bubble and tell you that you're this, you're that, like, it was kind of, in a way, it was like a bully. And
absolutely,
it was really hard at the time, but to stand beside 3 other girls and to know that they were also going through the same thing, we were each other's basically crutch. And at that time, I feel like what we did the most was love ourselves the hardest, and we took the time to be alone and to shower ourselves with love, and to know that we are worth more than what people are saying about us.
And it helps so much to just breathe and to take a moment and to connect with the people who you love and who love you for who you are and who really know the true person that you are. And just to know the difference between noise and truth.
And who taught you guys that? Like, was that
it was definitely a learning
It's a life
experience.
lesson. So you're also coaching each other on
I mean, honestly, I feel like low-key, to a certain point, we were all kind of going through it alone.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, we were all in our own world. And then also the context of being in a girl group, it's kind of hard sometimes as well, because the world pins you against each other, whether you want to be or not.
Right. Like, or whether you recognize it.
Or whether you recognize it. It's just a comparison that, you know, the whole world, especially when it comes to women, just does naturally.
I think,
you know what I mean?
And I think what was the hardest too, like, based off of being compared, was, I think it was always either size or color. And I think we learned, that's the time, like I said, we've learned to love ourselves the most. And then we realized that we're someone else's identity out there. So we realized the bigger picture and the bigger purpose of us being that image and that identity for those girls out there.
It took a long time though. Like, it takes a while to get to a place where you're
such a long time. Like, for me, I just turned 18 when I auditioned and 19 when we were formed, and I was just beginning to try to understand what it was to be an adult and to be on my own. You know, going from being with, you know, my parents all the time, homeschool, you know, doing my own music, whatever, and then literally like being jumped into this world where I'm with like a bunch of different people, different ages. I'm experiencing boys, I'm experiencing life, I'm experiencing like myself.
Level and on the public stage.
Absolutely. That was extremely challenging. But now, fast forward to now, we're totally different women. I'm I'm still the same girl, but like I'm more evolved in who I am. I'm more confident. I'm more poised. I'm more sure of who I am. And for me to say that is such a milestone for me, because I just struggled so much with just insecurity and finding myself. And
I think, especially going off of, you know, when we started off, we all had our parents beside us, like our moms, kind of, in a way. They were here and there, of course, but I had my mom beside me the whole time.
I couldn't.
Just because, like, you're 15, 16, Monty and I, like, still to this day hold on to
Yeah.
our mom's hands.
Yeah.
But
But great.
they're just
yeah.
that guideline, and they make you feel loved. And I feel like that's the most important part, is having people around you that truly love you for who you are and are there to care for you and hold you
And to
when
remind you.
I was
times
gonna
get
say,
rough.
and
Yeah.
put you in check
For
too.
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
because a lot of the time,
Check.
like,
You're
not
in your
saying
own
that,
head.
yeah, you're in your own head, and then it's like you become somebody that you
Yes.
don't necessarily even recognize anymore, not even in a bad
That's
way.
happened to me.
Not saying like, oh, you're changing, for the worse, but it's like certain situations that we do have to go through, or certain people that we have
Totally.
to
Start
deal
shutting
with,
down.
you start changing.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about that because your industry, the music industry and entertainment industry and pop culture in general, isn't exactly run by young, diverse women.
No.
So,
It's
Hell
very,
no.
it's honestly very, it can be closed-minded at times.
For
Incredibly.
sure.
Yeah.
but how have you guys as a group, how have you helped advocate for yourselves and each other? Because it seems like there would be more more power in numbers to kind of negotiate or figure out what you want to do individually or as a group. So how have you guys together been able to advocate for yourselves as a group in an industry that does not reflect your reality?
I honestly think it's unity.
Yeah.
Like the fact that we talk about
And
what
we
our
all are
goals
really
are.
united on our moral standard.
Yes.
Like
All
we
good
all
people.
have
For the most part.
we all have for the most part we have really good like sense of like
Who we are.
what we feel
Want-
comfortable with and what we
Yes.
don't, and we're very like, if we don't feel comfortable with something, like
Say it.
we're united on that, and you can't change our minds about it. Like
So even if you're uncomfortable,
We
you're
won't
like, we're
do
all
it.
uncomfortable
Yeah,
together.
we're like, sorry.
yeah, I mean, there's been moments
There's
where
been
like, you know,
cases.
the label will want a certain single to be a song, or a certain song to be a single, and like
We're
it's
like,
just
no.
not reflective of us, and it just doesn't, you know, it's not who we are, and there's no way that we can connect to that, you know what I mean? And we've had to fight at times, and we've had to really be strong, and we've had to put our foot down and be like, no, like we're
Not
more than
doing it.
this. We're more than what you were trying to submit us to.
And at the end of the day, that's the mark that we're leaving.
Mhm.
Like people aren't going to look at you guys and say, oh, that's the last impression that I have of so-and-so. It's the last impression and the messaging that we want to leave to the rest of the world.
That's awesome. And that's a great place to wrap up. I think we're at time.
great
that
interview.
was fantastic.
Yeah, that was
And
fun.
So much for
Thank
coming to
you.
Refinery29. It was great
Oh, and
chatting
asking
with
us
you
real
guys.
questions.
Thank you so
It's
much
fun.
for having us.
Facebook Live.
Bye.
Bye, Facebook.